So clearly now we are at a stage where make and break situation is in front of us. It is expected that the representatives of Iran and the US will be here in Islamabad, and we all hope here in Pakistan, everywhere in the world, that an agreement can be reached at the minimum, which ensures that the ceasefire is sustained and then ultimately some kind of a workable solution can be found. Obviously, there are spoilers, and we know very well who those spoilers are. We are seeing them in real time. It is no secret that Israel has been opposed to this ceasefire, and what they're doing in Lebanon for the last couple of weeks, and especially yesterday, shows very clearly that they would do everything that they can to make sure that somehow this ceasefire does not persist, which essentially means that it's a huge challenge, not just for the US and Iran, but for the host, Pakistan also. What are those challenges and how can we navigate them over this weekend? To discuss this, I'm joined by a guest who has not only seen all of such important developments in his long and very distinguished career, but is also has had experience of handling and managing strategically difficult situations. Lieutenant General retired Mohammad Saeed joins me today, former Chief of the General Staff of Pakistan Army as well as a former Corps Commander. General Saeed, welcome.
Assalamu alaikum, Fahd. Thank you very much. Thank you.
General Saeed, obviously, there's much to discuss today, but I really want to start from a place where I left off yesterday in this program, which is the fact that against all odds, Pakistan has managed this huge success, and it's not just a success for the countries concerned, but for the whole world. And I think every single Pakistani is feeling proud since yesterday of how we've managed to avert what could have been a catastrophic conflict. Of course, the dangers are still there, but I think we've done a huge breakthrough. So first, I would like you to put this Pakistani success in a certain context for us.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me say that there's an argument inside Pakistan, and I have listened to this argument in my various interactions abroad also. When people list down Pakistan's power potential, they say you're fifth country in the world. You have very strong armed forces. The geostrategic location of Pakistan is a huge asset, and of course people term it as liability also. And people also talk about that you're the only nuclear power in the Muslim world. And given all this, Pakistan has not had a say. Pakistan has not had a confidence to interact in the region and in the global arena, which matches its power potential. This has been an assessment by many analysts internationally. And I would say correct to a great extent. And this is what where we are today, where Pakistan's relevance, Pakistan's image, Pakistan's cumulative power potential stands in the light of world attention. It is now getting a focus, a recognition by everyone in the world from east to west. So what I would say, the event, Pakistan's brilliant diplomacy, Pakistan's relevance, which was truly an asset, relevance both with Iran and US and other parties to the conflict, except Israel, that has helped Pakistan's political and military leadership to enable Pakistan to stand on its own 2 feet, much taller than what ordinarily Pakistan did. And you can say that it is a start of an era where Pakistan now would interact in sync with the power potential it has. And according to what it really deserves.
And General Said, this obviously hasn't happened over. We've been investing in relationships, personal, professional. We've reached out, we've engaged with important people over time. And I think things have just come together at the right time for us. And which is why I think we've been able to navigate this. In my opinion, this is no less than a minefield that we've been able to negotiate and successfully put together this ceasefire. What I would like to know from you is, given your background and your experience in very important, strategic, sensitive appointments, and you've seen both the civil side and the military side and the interaction that comes at the highest level of statecraft when it comes to Pakistan's vital national interests. If we look at the way that we've been able to put this ceasefire together, from where I look at it, General Said, I feel that the key people that we've interacted with or must have interacted with would include, of course, the US President, who we know that Field Marshal Asim Munir has been in touch with him. Then, of course, we also know that Vice President Vance and Steve Witkoff are people that we've been talking to. And, of course, the Iranian Foreign Minister, Arakchi, the Iranian President. I assume we would have been talking to the highest leadership in Saudi Arabia, most likely the Crown Prince. And more importantly, General Said, my assumption is that we would have been talking to the leadership of the IRGC, probably the CIA, most likely the Chairman Joint Chief of Staff in the US, and most likely the CENTCOM commander who was in charge of this. So what I'm trying to say is that this is a large number of people that we would have been interacting with to get to the point where we are today. How would all of this have worked out, given the state apparatus that we have, the kind of diplomatic heft we have, the civil military coordination that we have? Help us understand how this could have worked.
Before I come to your question, let me say just a few words on what has happened. What Pakistan has done so far, brokering a ceasefire, is a great service to humanity. It was not the parties to conflict who were suffering, who were being negatively impacted because of the situation in Persian Gulf region. From Australia to US, every household was affected. And with the passage of time, wherever there were in the beginning minimal effects, those effects were now multiplying, not only in economic domain, but elsewhere. The relations which had been nurtured over decades were falling apart between nation states, within the alliances. There were people who were now on the brink of starvation because of what was happening to the flow of energy resources. It's not my assumption. This is what the UN has been informing you. So what you have done is, as a country, is a great service to humanity, first. Secondly, it is not ordinarily discussed among the strategic communities, but there are then values which are universally acknowledged. First, I would say the truth always prevails. Pakistan, because of huge investment by India, has been victim of a narrative nationally where we have been viewed negatively. We've lived with an image deficit for the last 20, 25 years. If all of us who travel to the West, they know that ordinarily people won't know, younger lot especially, where Pakistan is. And those who know, they would see us through Indian lens, through Indian prism. We are not that sort of people, the way we are represented in international media and in international circles because of, I would say, a manufactured narrative and a manufactured consent against Pakistan. So you have come back to that recognition which you truly deserve. Now, coming to your question, it's a very complex undertaking, which I know must have kept people in Apara, people in Foreign Office, people in Prime Minister Office, people in GHQ away day and night. Because it's not only interacting on through telephonic conversations, through meetings, through travels, to all these people. Uh, is it is the most difficult thing in mediation is to ensuring that the interest of your own country, of your own institution, does not distort the position of one stakeholder, one party, which he has trusted you to pass on to the other. And I think Pakistan has done brilliantly in it. Not a question has been raised by either US, by any other Middle Eastern country, or by Iran, that throughout 40 days now, or a couple of weeks back in June, Pakistan injected anything from their own side in whatever was being relayed on behalf of one party or the other. So these are two very difficult things to manage in such processes, and I think Pakistan has done brilliantly well. Another thing, when even getting the foreign ministerial meeting together in Islamabad was not an easy undertaking, because there were traditional irritants between Iran-Egypt relation, Iran-Turkey relation, and then during the conflict also there were issues, particularly the Iranian drone strikes on Israel, on Turkey strikes. So getting them together, then aligning them, one message which had to be conveyed from that forum was again a brilliant diplomatic accomplishment. And after the foreign ministerial huggle in Islamabad, we all know that then there was a sudden escalation, which apparently everybody thought was now very difficult to control. And when the things were moving towards the brink, where there were people visualizing perhaps where there are going to be some nuclear capability likely to be used by the US or Israel, and things were moving out of control in last 4 hours, every minute. And then both not only the intelligence and military in Pakistan on one side and political leadership on the other side, backed up by foreign office, everyone was reaching out to their counterparts in Iran, in US, in Saudi Arabia, in Qatar, to Turkey, to Egypt, and there were regular interactions with China. There were regular interactions with the UN. And there were few people who were doing it, the principals who were doing it. The staff was providing them inputs regularly, very accurate inputs. And the principals were doing it flawlessly. This was a massive exercise, I think, unique in Pakistan's history, not because of the complexity of the situation, because of the fact that your principals had to, primarily 3-4 of them, deal to so many leaders at the same time in conflicting requirements from all sides, maximalist positions from all sides, yet brokering this ceasefire. They're going to be in months ahead, a lot of stuff written on it. And when we come to details, that in matter of hours, what kind of details were handled by the principals from the political-military side, it is going to be mind-boggling, let me tell you.
And of course, we've been able to bring the situation to a level where now these two opponents are going to be sitting across the table face to face, hopefully in the next day or two. Obviously, a lot has been achieved, but the next few days, General Saeed, are very critical. As we know, that situation is still very uncertain, and Israel is trying its best to try and act as a spoiler. My final question to you is that, we can look at various options of how Iran and the US could agree upon certain things or agree to disagree. But in this next day or two, when we are playing host to these two countries, what could or should be our key role now? We've already achieved so much, but do we just get them on the table and then sit back and say, okay, you guys work it out? Or do we have a greater responsibility now that they're and we are the host? What should Pakistan ideally be doing?
Yeah, I think the first objective now Pakistan should be pursuing is that the process should not break down. There are going to be spoilers, as you said, Israel, what they are doing in Lebanon today, and they might sabotage the process by moving beyond what they are doing in Lebanon. They might strike Iran. But it is now for Iran and US in one equation, and Iran and the Middle East GCC countries not to resort to military means, whether one-sided or from both sides. And I have a lot of hope and some confidence that this will not happen. Why? Because both sides, Iran and US, leave Israel on a side for the moment. Iran and US both now have no reasonable military options to go back to use of military instruments.
Yes, correct.
Right. There is a term used not very often, but then when you use military instrument, there are civilized way of using military instrument, and there are barbaric or uncivilized way of using military instrument. So I don't think both sides now have any civilized ways of using military instrument which could promise results, realization of objectives from both sides. So this one thing, that there's assurance that they will not go back to use of military means. Now, other than Israel, what could be spoiler, what could create difficulties in this process to move forward would be the positions Iran has taken and the position it has taken. And then there are 5 points which lie in the center of both those positions. So I would hope that the discussion starts from those 5 points, and then moves on to the respective positions. Because those 5 points provide a framework for conducting negotiations, even those two divergent set of conditions, which are very difficult. So when there are good conversations on the first 5 points, which are which have been shared by Pakistan with China also, and there is consensus on it, then there is a good promise. So I would say the first objective should be that when they sit together on the table, there should be a hope, and Pakistan will play an effective role to that end, that this process has to be sustained no matter how difficult it becomes to take it to a logical end. So sustenance of this project, these conversations not breaking down, this forum not diluting, should be a very important objective. Pakistan is in a good position to realize this objective because of its relevance, both with Iran.
Thank you very much, General Said, for sharing your analysis with us. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.